When we talk about compound statements and their truth values, let's think about that for a second. So compound statements, like and or statements, they had two or more statements. We could have more than just one, more than two statements actually, but compound statements have at least two statements. Now, so we've got P and we got Q. Well, P is a statement, so it could be true or false. Q is a statement, so it could be true or false. And so when we combine them into one compound statement, then we've got those true and falseness of each one interacting together. You see what I'm saying? This one could be true, this one could be false. Or this one could be false, and this one could be true. You see what I'm saying? There's different truth values for possibilities for each part of the compound statement. So that's what we're talking about. When I put those two together, if this one's true and this one's false, or this one's false, what does that make the overall statement? And we're going to talk about the and one first here. Okay? Now the way we're going to do that is, again, look at an example. And let's say we've got this job position out there. And to be eligible for this job, a person must P be over 21 and Q be a college graduate. So this statement we put together is an and statement. Okay? Now, a bit of notation. The way we're going to do this is we're going to look at whether or not different people that come in with different qualifications are eligible for this certain position. So I'm going to organize that in a little table here. All right, and so on this side of the table, I'm going to put the P's and the Q's here. And then over here, I'm going to put my statement, which is P and Q, right? Which symbol-wise would be P, and then the upside down V, and then Q. All right, so I'm going to organize it this way. So I'm just going to look at all the different scenarios of people that could come in. All right, so person one walks in. They're true, over 21, true, college graduate. True, true. All right? So both of those parts are true. Well, what does that mean about their eligibility here? Are they true, be eligible, or are they false, not eligible? Well, if they're over 21 and a college graduate, then certainly they fit this statement here, don't they? They are over 21 and they're a college graduate. So that's true, right? So the and statement, when I put those two together, I've got true and true, and so the and there would be true. The and statement would be true. All right? Person two walks in though, true they are over 21, false though, college graduate. Is that person eligible? No. Over 21 and college graduate, isn't it? And so not eligible, so we represent that with false here. Okay? So the and statement in that case, if I've got true and false, one of them's true, the other one's false, that's false. All right, well, we could flip that. False, they're over 21, true, college graduate. Does that make them eligible in that scenario? No. Still false, isn't it? The and statement is still false there. What's the last one? Both false. Both false. False, false. All right, so are they eligible? Oh, obviously not. Okay. That one's obvious. All right, so yeah, so this is what happens when we do an and statement, not just in this scenario, but for any and statement. Okay? How is an and statement true? The only way an and statement is true is if what? Both of them are true, right? Both component statements are true. Yes? If one of them is false, or if both of them are false, the and statement is false. Okay? So that's That's what you need to know about the and statement. We'll do another one here in a second. But let me also say here, we'll do the or next here, but let me also tell you here, the way I organize this here, that's called a truth table. And this is a truth table for the and statement, P and Q. This whole thing here, that's called a truth table. So a truth table, what it does is it lists all P's and Q's, true, false interactions, all right? You got true, 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 false, false, true, false, false. And then on the other side, you have the truth value of that compound statement. So that's what we call a truth table. And we're going to do a couple of those here in the next few days, okay? All right, so let's go here to job number 2. Be eligible for second job. A person needs to be P, college graduate, needs to be, be a college graduate. Get this grammatically correct here. Or have Q, have 3 years experience. Okay, so we changed it up. Now we're doing the or statement. All right? So let's do our little truth table here for that. So we've got P's and Q's over here. We've got P or Q, though, now over here. Again, the true or falseness of it is whether or not they're eligible. That's how this one works. All right, so let's look at all 4 cases again. True, true. P's true. Q is true. They have the college graduate and have 3 years experience. Would they be eligible with this or scenario here? Sure, right, yeah. It's or, so true or true, that would certainly be eligible, so that's true. Now what about, let's go in the same order here, true, false. What if person number 2 comes in, true, they're a college graduate, but false, they have 3 years experience. Are they eligible in this case? Yeah. Yeah, because it says or in this case, right? It's not that they have to have both to be true, right? It says or. So true or false here, that would be true. So that's a change from the and statement, isn't it? Same thing for the third one. False, true. College graduate's false. 3 years experience is true. They're eligible in that case too, aren't they? So that or statement's true there. What about the last one? False, false. They don't have either one, so that's certainly false. Okay? So what's different about the or statement from the and? The and is only true, true. That's the only time and is true. But what about or? And is true in that case, but it's also true when just one of them's true, right? In the or statement, when one of them's true, the or statement's true. So that's a big difference from the and. All right? So that's, and it, for any or statement, that was just our little example, but this works for any or statement, no matter what the components are. All right. So that's the truth table for just the basic or statement. All right. Now, what they'll do is they'll have a couple of different things for you to consider. Let's just give you one example. One scenario is, they could say, well, if P is false, Q is true, number one, what is what is P or Q? What's the truth value of P or Q there? So this one's just given us specifically, P is false, Q is true. All right, so they just randomly, I guess you might say, picked here for us. P is false, or I have. P is false, Q is true. So I put together false, so P is false, Q is true. What do you got? It's OR, right? That's OR. How does OR work? If one of them's true, it's true, isn't it? So this is true. You got 50-50 shot anyway, but you see that way that works? Number two, what is not P, then that Q. So what's the truth value of that? Again, with these two specific examples. Well, we haven't done a truth table with this little squiggly here, but what does the squiggly line mean? Negation, right? Negation. So P I got is false, so what would be the negation of P? What's the opposite? Yeah, it's true. So I've got true, and I've got Q is true. So that's true and true, that's a given, easy one, right? Give me there. All right. So that, giving a specific example, and they may throw in a third one, but you just use the same kind of order of operations you're used to with parentheses. So let's say I've got, so if, we'll change it up, P is true, Q is false, and R is true. What is the truth value of this? Q or not P and R and Q. Okay? Yeah, so in this, I mean, they could make pretty long ones here, and it doesn't really make it a long problem at all. Like I said, use the same logic or same order of operations, if you will. What do we do first on these? Parentheses first, right? We do parentheses first and then put those things together. So here, what have I got? And then I changed it up, so Q is now false. So I've got false. If I write the truth values here, I've got false or, so that's negation of P again. So that would be, in this case, P is true, so the negation of P would be false. So that parentheses will be false or false. Then I've got and then this one I've got parentheses R, so that'd be true and not Q. Well, Q is false, so the negation of Q would be true. With me there? So just put in those truth values as the sign, and then you do parentheses first. All right, so parentheses first, false or false. Well, two falses, that's obviously false. Then we do these parentheses, true and true. Made it too easy there on those. Oh well, all right. So this will be false, this will be true. So now we put those two together, and how do we put those together? What's this one? That's the and. What's false and true put together? How does and work? Both of them have to be true for and to be true, right? So false and true is false. So just kind of have to work your way through on those. You don't have to do a whole truth table, in other words, what I'm saying. Okay? But the other ones are where we do truth tables. So let's finish off here today talking about truth tables. All right, so let's do a truth table for P or not Q. So yeah, the way we'll make these different than the truth tables we've already done is throw in some negations, maybe put in some parentheses. We'll do one with parentheses next. But all right, so what do we mean by the truth table? Well, the truth table is what I had here earlier. I had all the true and falses listed out, and then over here the truth values. So that's same setup for any truth table is going to be I'm going to put the P's and the Q's here. Now notice I put PQ, even though it has not Q there, I still do PQ. They want PQ here. The rest of this side is exactly the same look as we had on the other. I didn't compare the two, but if you go back and look, this side is the same no matter what. What I'm going to do is list all the possibilities of P and Q combination. So I'm going to start, and I would prefer this order, true, true, then we could have true, false, then we could have false, true, and then we could have false, false. So this side of the truth statement, truth table, that's always going to look the same. All right, with me? Over here, then, we're going to do our P or not Q statement. Now here's the way I do it, different ways, but here's the way I typically do it. What I like to do, and when it gets more complicated, this I think helps you condense it down a little bit. But what I like to do is underneath each of these component parts, just put the truth values that this is. So P here, P is these four right here. It's true, true, and then it's false, false. Okay? I'll make it maybe a little smaller because that's not my final answer for this. And then underneath here, now that's negation of Q, so what would I put underneath it? It's the opposite of these, right? False, true, false, true. And what that does, that puts them together where now I can do my OR of those two together. All right? Because they're in a different order than they were before. So what have I got? True or false. How does OR work? If one of them's true, OR is true. One of them's true, OR is true. And both of them have to be true. So true or false is true. True or true is true. Because if one of them's true, OR is true. Both of them is true. False or false though? No trues there, so it's false. False or true? That's true. One of them's true. All right, so mark these out. This is my answer here. As far as that side is concerned. Look okay? Not too bad. All right, so let's do one more. Finish off here. All right, so let's do the truth table for parentheses Q and not P, parentheses or P. All right. So like I said, if we just have P's and Q's, next time we'll talk about throwing in an R statement. That throws in a little bit of extra work, I guess you might say. But in this case, I've just got P's and Q's. And so this side of the truth table is just P's and Q's. Same as the others we've done, truth tables we've done. This side is exactly the same. True, true. So you got PQ, and then you got true, 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 false, false, true, false, false. All right, now we've got a little more complicated over here. But we can handle it. So here's the way, like I said, here's the way I like to show it. Kind of keeps it compact. But all right, so underneath the Q, just list the Q possibilities. So that would be just copying that. True, false, true, false. The not P, put down the truth values of it. Well, not P, so that's going to be the opposite of P here. So that's going to be false, false, true, true. In those two, I'm going to do what? And? Yeah, that's the and sentence. So I'm going to and those together. And works. Both of them have to be true for and to be true. So true and false, that's false. So let's put it right between them there. False and false, that's obviously false. True and true, that is true. And then false and true, that's false because both of them have to be true for and. All right, so that result is this.
Can you slow
Question.
down? I'm sorry, but can you slow down?
Go through it again?
No, like, I'm trying to take notes, but you're
Okay.
like going through this like speedy notes.
Okay. So have you got these underneath here?
That's what I'm doing now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so then you got true and false is false, because both of them have to be true for and to be true. False and false is false. True and true is true. And then false and true is false. Okay? Like I said, these are going to be posted, so if you missed something, go back to it. All right, so now we go here with P. Underneath the P, we're going to put the copy of the P column, true, true, false, false. And I'm going to OR those together. Now what am I going to OR together? Well, the result of this, the parentheses, we did the parentheses first. So the result of the parentheses, which is here, I'm going to OR that with the P over here, but it's OR. And as long as one of them's true, OR is true, that's the way OR works. So you got false or true. One of them's true, isn't it? So OR is true. This is OR. False or true. That is true. And I put it here, you can put it out here, equals if you want to. So far so good? True or false? That's true. One of them's true, or is true. And then the last one's false or false? That's false. And so this is really the only result that we need as final answer, I guess. These others are used to help us work that. All right?